Good morning, everyone. Glad you're here. And we're opening up with some great music by Dalton. Good morning, Dalton.
With my hands, I break this bread. It needs my heart to make it whole. Gathered in with sweet abandon, made with love, it feeds my soul. Let us join in perfect union, communing with the presence, partaking of the essence, human and divine, earth and sun, the two are one. With my hands, I raise this cup, kissed by spirit, the change has come, grown by light in quiet darkness, sweet transformation, let it be done. Let us join in perfect union, communing with the presence, partaking of the essence, human and divine, earth and sun, the two are one. Bread changes me so sweetly. Power and grace I now embrace takes hold of me completely. With my hands, we break this bread. Oh, with these hands, we raise this cup, altered here from who we've been, forever new and lifted up. Oh, let us join in perfect union, communing with the presence, partaking of the essence, human and divine, earth and sun, the two are one. Human and divine, earth and sun, two are one, earth and sun, the two are one, earth and sun, the two are one.
Dalton, who wrote that?
That's Gary Lynn Floyd's song.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I haven't heard that before. Good morning. Glad you're all here. It's a beautiful day. I'm Reverend Dr. Mary Mitchell. I'm a staff minister here, and I am proud to say our vision is to inspire and encourage people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. That's what we do. That's our prime mission. And so we welcome your participation in every area of the center. Right now, we're going to invite the children up. I see them out there waiting to come up. And as they come up, turn around and wave at the world. They're watching us here today. And let's sing. You are the face of God. I will do in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. All right. And I just saw our little jumpers come up, so they were a little bit late, but they're going back there. They are so cute. Oh my God. All right, thank you. I'd like to thank everyone in service today that got here early. Lindy on our sound team, and Marty and Roy, our ushers and greeters today. Thank you. And Jane Parsons is our board member. Good to see you, Jane. And we have the kitchen cookies in the kitchen. So that's Shirley and Bill and probably Joanne, but other people too. What? Hazel. Oh, I didn't recognize you with your mask on. Okay. Who is that going? Okay. Good to see you, Hazel. Got to have a good sense of humor, don't you? If you have anything that would squeak or squall during the service, we'd appreciate it if you would turn it off. Thank you. And if you're new with us today, we have a wonderful friendship packet. Anyone new that would like a packet? No? Okay, well, there are the blue folders on the back wall if you would like one. Focus announcements. Oh, we have some fun things going on today, such as after the service, about 11:15, I'll be in the meeting room and I'll be doing what's called an essence class. What is the essence of this philosophy? Take about 45 minutes to an hour. It's one of two short classes that you're needed if you wanted to become I would say a board member. No, just a member of this center. And it's a wonderful thing to feel like you're really a member of something so grand and so awesome as this. So that'll be the Essence class at 11:15. We're going to have another used book sale Sunday, August 7th to the 21st. So if you'd like to collect some books and bring them in, we'd love to have them. And now I know the Bliss team created this, the Great Race of Grace. Saturday, August 20th, starts at 10 a.m. This sounds like so much fun. It's watching teams of 4 to let loose around the city as the race begins. It's a race to see who comes back to the center first after you go to certain places. Gather your team of friends and get a jump on creativity. Even pick a themed color for your team and get all decked out in it. The crazier, the better. So that sounds like a lot of fun. Should be a great time. And the women's retreat is coming up. Your One Wild and Precious Life at the retreat cabins in Lakehead, California. I didn't know they had cabins up there, but at Lakehead. Dr. Andrea Acevedo will be coming with Reverend Sue to do that. Friday through Sunday, October 28th through the 30th. A deposit is due. It doesn't say when, but I'm sure it's soon, a $100 deposit. Limited to 32 women. Anyway, that's going to be a really, really wonderful time. All right, we have a reading. I think, Lori, you're doing the reading. That's wonderful. And then Charlie will invite the bell 3 times, and then Shirley, our practitioner, will do our prayer, which is, we call it spiritual mind treatment, but it's an affirmative prayer. And then Reverend Sue's talk is You and Me Create Society. Sounds wonderful. All right. The reading, Lori. Thank you.
This morning's reading is 3 reflections from Centers for Spiritual Living. The first, people make laws. Some laws we can easily identify as being for the protection of the society that made the laws, whereas other laws are made to protect a certain portion of that society, while hurting and harming others by seeing them as being not a part of the larger society. Slavery and Jim Crow in the United States, apartheid in South Africa, and anti-Semitism in Hitler's Germany are a few such examples. In creating a world that works for all, the role and responsibility of being a spiritually mature society is certainly something worth discussing, as well as the role of spiritual laws in the creation of societal laws that demonstrate the wonder and magnificence of God in, through, and as all that is. Second, for years, possibly since humans first developed communication, there have been complaints and commentaries about what is wrong with the world. What is wrong with the government, churches, this country or that, the weather, our jobs, spouses, children, etc. And the energy of those complaints has not made things better. It is only when dedicated people see a vision of change and work towards it that any effective and beneficial changes have occurred. If we are going to change society, then we must begin to discuss, envision, and become the wonderful society. We are invited to release our morbid obsession with the ills of the world and society. This does not mean bypassing those conditions or experiences. We know that this philosophy gives us the same ability to see a condition and to transform, transmute, transcend it in order to reveal the truth. Third, you may have heard it said that when the old guard dies off, then things like racism, genocide, homophobia, terrorism will vanish. The old guard, however, are not people. The old guard are the systems that people have put into place, and that the society is an agreement of I beg your pardon, I skipped a line. The old guard are the systems that people have put into place, and that the systems, when left unchallenged, continue to dictate how any given society operates. Society is an agreement of the people. And if we are manifesting a world that works, that means we first manifest societies that work for all. And that means our relationships with each other and with those we may never meet who are affected by laws, policies, and our prayers. And within the various societal groups, there are people who choose to do the work required to change the systems, the laws, the relationships, so that everyone has equal rights, protection under the law, and the freedom to live, being who each individualized expression of God is.
Sitting here in stillness, we appreciate having this time to look within, to review past events of the week, recalling time spent with others who have been important in our lives. we know there is only one, and that each of us is an expression of that divine love and intelligence that we know as God. We take time this morning to contemplate our relationships with loved ones, our friends, and all others that we meet along the way. We know that heartfelt relationships are a blessing when shared. And so we aspire to bring loving kindness and mindfulness to all. May we approach all whom we meet in an open, heart-centered way. We are grateful to the divine spirit within, an unfailing source of guidance and wisdom, always a source of support as we meet life's challenges. We acknowledge God's grace as together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Shirley and Judy. Good morning, everyone. So, the title of this talk being about society, I almost feel like I'm taking you into a civics class or something. Oh, I'm going to grade you later. There's going to be a test. So I appreciate the value why the organization is bringing this into our spiritual arena, this discussion, because it has been the table topic for many. You know, what's going on in the world? What's going on with each other? So we can talk about it on one-to-one relationships on a certain level. And all of this month, we're looking at relationships. And so I'm going to blend in some of Earnest Holmes' very powerful, rooted, solid spiritual wisdom or law through this, but also some insights from Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote the autobiography of a yogi, and many, many more writings that continue to point us back to be on solid ground by putting the divine first. And one of the books that I've referred to often when I find myself in that conundrum of what's going on in this world, there's a book written by many of his devotees, A World in Transition, Finding Spiritual Security in Times of Change. So to start off, there's Mirabai Starr writes a fabulous book called Wild Mercy. And this particular chapter is about connecting. Now, she can get kind of colorful with her language, so I'm going to paraphrase it, and I hope I don't slip and say some of the words, because I would have to have Lindy edit that out. So, but this connecting, community and the web of interbeing is how she talks about it. But think about this in this clever way. You feel special. Sometimes this feels like a curse. Like no one will understand you, ever. Like you will always be an alien walking among regular humans, just pretending to blend in. You've learned to live with this gulf, but what you really crave is community. You long to belong to the human family, to Mother Earth. Participating in the human condition can be bewildering. It's not just always cozy and easy. Rather, it's humbling at best, downright humiliating when it's not flowing. It can seem so much simpler to ride solo, slay your own dragons, sing the ballads you wrote about yourself. Collaboration can be tedious, and the prevailing value system may have conditioned you to feel like you're giving away your power when you share it with others. So what? So what? Give it away. The time of the singular sage bestowing his unique wisdom is over. That was a method devised for those who were in charge, who sought to regulate wisdom. They taught us to suffer alone in the desert for 40 years, collecting our insights in a secret box labeled esoteric knowledge. Then we were supposed to dispense those insights stingily to those who proved themselves worthy by also suffering alone for the required 40 years in the desert. It turns out that this world is filled with special beings, grappling our way through the anxiety of solitary conundrums and tasting the occasional reprieve of connection. When you realize this, your body lets out its breath and relaxes, the curse lifts. You come in from the cold, you hold out your cup, and some other special being fills it with a sweet, milky tea spiced with fragrant herbs, and you drink. Our way is to find out what everyone is good at and praise them for it. Get them to teach it to one another. Maybe you know something about the hidden meanings of the Hebrew letters, or how to build a sustainable home from recycled tires and rammed soil, or simply maybe you know the loving kindness meditation. You, the one who knows the Islamic call to prayer. Call us now to prayer. You, the one who knows how to sit quietly at the bedside of the dying. Show us the way to bear witness. You, the one who knows how to get us to wake up to the shadow of privilege. Please, wake us up. It will be chaotic, all this community building, but your cooperation will save the world. Besides, she closes it, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. We take things so seriously. So I'm going to, I read my notes before I came here, now they're out of order. That's embarrassing. Dalton, sing me a song. Page. Am I ready? Where's my page 1? Lindy, turn the camera off for a minute. Page 4, page 2, page 3, page 1. Breathe with the one that's in anxiety right now. Well, because I wanted to find this front line because it's from Martin Luther King, Jr. I'd never heard this before. We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. Isn't that great? Simple, clear. We're all in the same boat now. And he goes on to say, one of the great liabilities of history is that all too many people have failed to remain awake through great periods of social change. Every society has its protectors of status quo and its fraternities of the indifferent who are notorious for sleeping through revolution. Today, our very survival depends on our ability to stay awake, to adjust to new ideas, to remain vigilant, and to face the challenge of change. Change isn't always comfortable. And that's what we're going through right now, change. And so as we sit with that, we realize in change, we don't know the outcome. That's what's uncomfortable. So let's look at our relationship, you and me, that have created society. So the relationships that we have, that we have gathered people and helped create and continues to help create society as we gather in agreements that we're consciously making or not, but we agree to or not by default. It is what it is. And we're governed by those, and we interact with those, and we relate to one another through those. Now, every time I read some of the ancient scripture and some of the things written in the early 1900s, 1930s, 1940s, 50s, and then the 60s, awesome time, and then you get to the current day. And each one of those decades, they're always saying, this is the worst of times. I'm thinking, heck, you're not living today. You're not living today, but we all, so you realize this change is always evolving and ongoing. And so we look at the society that we live in today, and we're influenced by our relationship with the society. It has formed around us and with us. We're not apart from it. It's blended with societies and cultures all around the world. And this all leads us to an expanded idea, which is, take a big breath, the global society, getting along with the global society. The only time I had a taste of that is when Charlie and I visited the Parliament of World Religions. 400 to 800 some different faith paths from all around the world gather at these huge conference halls, and everybody's getting along. And the Sikhs feed everybody. But you have to be on the floor for it, so I never have gone to one of the meals because I feel like I can't get up after I eat. But they lay out the spread of food every single day that conference is going on. It's a beautiful thing. If you ever have an opportunity, it's going to be in Chicago this year, next year again, and Charlie and I are going to go. It's a wonderful thing to sign up for and really get a taste of this global society. Our decisions for the earth, the air, and the water, and all of our resources that affect people are all a part of how we engage with society. So we can engage or we can fight, or we can ignore. So what is your calling to nurture a healthier, more compassionate society? What really soul search that? Bottom line, what is your relationship to all people? So let me help bring you to what Earnest Holmes reminds us of. Unity. Unity is the basis of all that there is. There is but one God, one mind, one spirit, and one power. When I embody myself in my thoughts selfishly, I am separating myself from that which I think would be my good. You may think this is a very subtle thing and could not be the reason for so much trouble, separating yourself from your very good. But it is the foundation of most of our troubles. I am unconsciously separating myself from my good. What is your good? So you see, we can't just relax and think, I think I got this part nailed. You have to kind of look at, what are these words to you? What is your good? And that came right back into my face this week when I was teaching principles and practices, one of the foundational courses. And a gentleman said, when I made the comment, because I still believe in it, but I made the comment, when I pray for my good, and may it be for the good of all. And he said, how do you know what that is? Blah, 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 blah. And I was stunned for a moment, and I thought, yeah, that's a great question. So I put it back on you. What is your answer to that? Because I really still pray in that way for the greater good. And so I look at the global good, where we all are in harmony and empathy and compassion, love and forgiveness flow. That is a good to me, but that's my good, and that's where my prayers flow from. And so I realize I don't know what other people's good is. And so it humbled me in a way to really watch for that in my words. So you soul search that a little bit this week, but I want to remind you that last week we left off at that exploration of defending ourselves. And this can happen a lot in relationships with society. This part of our defended personality that we present, that part of us that gets our feelings hurt. It's a part of us, and it's the truth. We recoil, we get timid if somebody really seems strong and really way smarter than us, that when they're expressing their views, their values. And so we start to operate from that defended personality, which is not at the soul level. And so that part of us is reacting to the triggers of the world. That part of the defended personality is what is setting up the walls of our heart. Think about it. Think about how you feel when you're triggered, how your heart just closes in, you clench your teeth, you hold your breath, and you start taking it personal. And then perhaps we lash out. The heart field has shrunk into itself, become small, conditional, and further away from feeling compassionate with one another, even wanting to be in the same room. So the spiritual invitation is to flip this all around. Remember in Scripture when Jesus is telling his people, "It is done unto you." He doesn't stop there. Things are done unto us. They're done unto us in that special word, as we believe. If we don't pay attention to that full message there, then we're missing the boat. What are your beliefs? Because everything you're experiencing is done unto you as you believe. Don't take that lightly. That's where you have the turnaround, remembering the only one you can confidently make a difference with is yourself. That's the only person you can change. External circumstances may or may not change. The inquiry, though, into self and your reactions is vital to discover the obstacles on your course. Look at the places inside of you that you might have outgrown. I mentioned that last week, and I have been really soul-searching that myself. Where do you need to stretch? Where do you need to reform? This call for the inward focus to unravel where we have shut down and where we're reacting from is vital here. When we can discover what is, and we are still passionate, we can still be passionate about the causes that we believe in. We can still champion certain principles, moral behaviors that we expect from one another. But looking within, the divine invitation, look within so love can lead you back out. Love, empathy, compassion, forgiveness are all held in that space. Ernest Holmes said, "The spiral of life is upward. Evolution carries us forward, not backward. Eternal and progressive expansion is its law, and there are no breaks in its continuity. It seems to me that our evolution is the result of the unfolding consciousness of that which already is, and need but to be realized to become a fact of everyday life. If God can work for us only by working through us, we cannot afford to hold personal animosity against the world or members of society, as such thoughts are outside the law and cannot be taken into heavenly consciousness. Love alone begets love." The strong words, still relevant for our time period today. So look at yourself. We want to make sure that we're not barking at each other, barking out of fear or anger. We need to stop barking altogether and come to a place where we discover a solid sense of self, that we are all rooted in this divine nature first and foremost, rooted in the divine spiritual laws that never fail us. It has been said, when we feel hostile, we're really trying to really just trying to feel more powerful. Think about that for yourself. I really can own that. When I'm grumpy and grouchy, it's just because I want to feel on the other side of that. Some of us feel stunned and powerless over circumstances and decisions that are affecting society today as a whole. But we need to pause and recognize humbly that what is being evoked in each and every one of us, that is causing these reactive reflexes, inviting us to do our spiritual work and flip the outcome. Flip it from being stress and reactiveness to a place of willingness to take the first step. May I find common ground with you. At least may I try with my whole heart to try to listen more calmly and attentively to your view, to the greater view, to the bigger view that has never been mine. May I stretch myself, be willing to open my heart to see. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda once admitted that when his trials became too great, he sought first the understanding of himself. He would never blame others or outer circumstances. He wouldn't try to correct other people. He knew to go within. He said, I had to go inside and clean the citadel of my soul to remove anything that obstructs the soul's all-powerful, all-wise expression. This is successful living. Now, Buckminster Fuller, he says this in alignment with that. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Can you do that? In small ways, yes, you can. It's reorganizing your thinking. There's another one, John Chichester, in The Search of Belief. What we as society determine, the value that shapes and drives the individuals within us. The nation that lowers its standards of justice and mercy, integrity and human dignity is far more guilty than the individual who was lost in the swamp of them, alone and unguided. So all of these people, all of these wise philosophers and teachers, some of our current time, are pointing us back to this pathway. So I'm going to get off that soapbox of repeating this each week and look back a little bit, because there's two things here that I want you to take away with you today. To really look at that idea of walking in another's shoes. And this comes from David Rico. And I know that this seems like quote after quote, but they move me so much because I'm as lost as maybe some of you are, not everyone. And so I need the direction. I need a hand to reach out to me and say, come this way, listen to it this way. Maybe that will help you shift your thinking. So look at this. When we see someone in trouble and have only psychology to help us make sense of it, we might say, that's happening over there, but I'm over here. That may be safety making, but it's actually separation making. In spiritual awareness and commitment, we ask what the Good Samaritan might ask. How am I a part of this suffering, and how can I be a force of healing? In saintliness, we see someone suffering, and we do not say, there, but for the grace of God go I. We say, there, by the grace of God, go I. Flipping it. Our compassion flows from this irresistible communion, the ultimate and full expression of deep kinship. That was by a current author, David Rico, in his book about wholeness and holiness. Powerful, powerful testimony. So this next one I wanted to share with you last week, and I ran out of time. but it keeps living in me. And I share it today because I hope it lives in you. Many of you are familiar with the Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name prayer, the Lord's Prayer. And so this comes from that, from a writer, a French writer in the 19th century. There is no one of my brothers who I can be without. In the heart of the meanest, most miserable person, there is an immortal soul with holy aspirations, which, deprived of daylight, worships in the night. Open your heart. I hear them speaking when I speak. I hear them weeping when I go down on my knees. There is not one of them who I cannot do without. Just as there are many stars in the heaven, and the power of calculation is beyond my reckoning, hear this, so also are many souls, and they scarcely give forth their light, but I need them. I need them all in my praise of God. There are many living beings, but there's not one of them in whom I'm not in communion, in that sacred apex where we utter together, Our Father. Now, I picture that dropping to our knees, if we could be that humble, that open to the underprivileged or the people that seem like tyrants in our world, if we could just pause and drop to our knees in that one moment, Our Father, our one love, belonging to all. I think that we are intimately aware of the defenses and divisions that we have succumbed to all along this way. Because we know before a day is over, we didn't mean to, but suddenly we're on one side or another of an issue. We're for or against something. And it reminds me of when you were a little kid and you got to go into the tide pools and poke the sea anemones. However I say that, it makes me tongue-tied, but think about that, what that's like to poke those little creatures and to watch them close in. But you know, they actually, from what I understand, on their tentacles, there's just a series of little stinging cells that send out a toxin to their prey. It doesn't hurt us. But I look at that, I thought, are we doing that? Unintentionally, when somebody pokes us, are we closing in and spitting out some toxic thought? You know, something like, you poop head. Isn't that rough? But you realize that's how quickly it happens. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You close down. We're stinging others all the time with this. So we also recall the words of Jesus that we can't use the sword to harm anyone. If we use that, we're only going to perish ourselves by using that way of dealing with conflict. We're reacting to all of these societal issues as a whole as an invitation to put down our weapons, to put down our harmful behavior, call forth understanding, compassion, kindness. It's isolating to all of us to react harshly without thinking, feeling, act from a place of centered mindfulness. Now, I'm running out of time here again. I told Charlie this is going to be a short talk, and I get up here, wow. But Ram Dass was an important teacher for, I know, many of you in this room. And I had visited one of his conferences one time, and he had shared this very thought, that we as a society have set up all these lines of defense. Think about this. We have isolated poverty, old age, and death so that we don't have to confront them. The poor are off in ghettos, the elderly in retirement homes, and the dying we put them away in terminal care wards. We pay to push away suffering. And that lecture, that wisdom has stayed with me as I walk my walk. How are we as a society handling the age of people, putting them in senior care homes, only to allow them to get more and more isolated, more withdrawn, afraid to come out of their room? I think about that when Lindy was in Brownies and I used to take the little Brownie troupe in there to sing carols. I'd just be bawling the whole time watching everybody just try to look up and out of their frozen position. Same at the hospital. When the carolers came as a nurse, I would run and hide in the break room because I can't bear it. And it's all love. It's all so beautiful, but my heart could hardly hold it all. That's what the Buddha did when he walked out of the palace from his father's, trying to protect him from this suffering, poverty, old age, sickness, right? It's the classic story of all time. So we look at how we portray everything. Mass shootings, those in prisons and jails, how we dismiss their longing for connection, how we can grumble about homelessness. Let me again bend my knee and remember our Father, our one, who art in that divine consciousness for all. May I bow and remember. And then when I open my eyes, this is what I remember. When we choose to open our eyes from prayer, we're opening our hearts. We had the beautiful stories of those who returned from bombed homes in Ukraine, and they sat in their bombed-out apartment and played their piano. Or they joined together and they sang their national anthem on YouTube for the world to see. Love. Love prevails. Or the mothers who brought their carriages to the Poland borderline for the refugee mothers to put down their burdens and to be able to stroll their child in safety to the other side. How the prayers that I read of every one of the children that wrote of the Uvalde shooting that lost their brother or their sister, and they wrote, "They're in the arms of the loving angels." That was their refuge. And I hold them there, seeing their comfort in knowing that they found their way to try to heal their broken hearts. And it's happening here in Redding by this community. Now, Craig's no longer with us, but he and Gloria, and there's others, Bill and Shirley McQueeston, the 360 Band, people like them, taking their art, their talent, they go to these community homes and offer their time, offer their different ways of music, just to allow the elder, the senior, to remember the joy of music. And we also celebrate in our society today the wise sages of Jane Goodall, the Dalai Lama, many, many more. And we recognize, yes, this is the good. This is the good. This is balancing our society. This is who we're a part of. This is what I say is the good, I pray, is going to overemphasize all of these troubled times. This is what is waking us up in our consciousness as we set the stage for turning away from all the discouragement and ultimate fear and looking at a deeper way that we can face everything with the divine omnipresence, omniscience, omnipotent power of love. And what humanity has sown, remember, it must reap. So we realize that we're all a part of that at the crossroads of this seemingly destructive way of society, a collapsing, but it's just a rebuilding, an evolutionary part that we're actually very much integrally a part of. Now, I'm going to have Judy, I'm going to take it down to a place from the Tao. And the more I've studied in my lifetime of all of the different faith paths, The Tao seems so pristine, so like, oh yeah, that's it. So let's go there. I invite you to meditate for a moment. This is your moment of spiritual practice. I want you to relax, as some of the things I said were heavy. But right now, we're dropping to our knees. Go ahead, Judy. Our Father. We're in this together. So from the Tao, a path and a practice from William Martin. No one sees anything special about this path. Yet it is because it appears ordinary that it remains wondrous. No one's been able to market it. No one has trivialized it. There are 3 virtues inherent in this path. These are the ones I want you to take with you this week: compassion, simplicity, and patience. Wherever there is compassion, fear does not abide. Wherever there is simplicity, generosity resides. Wherever there is patience, all things are accomplished. If we try to be fearless and do not have compassion, we become ruthless. If we try to be generous but do not have simplicity, we become controlling. If we try to accomplish things and do not have patience, we become failures. Compassion is at the root of all these virtues. It is the very nature of the Tao. It is the energy that binds all things together. The Tao, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And we recognize that as we start to share those words in a universal prayer, our heart is wide open. And we become the catalyst of change, the catalyst of the evolutionary, enlightened way of loving one another. At the deepest level, that's what counts, at the deepest core. May we each find our way as we spend time this week looking at who we are in and through every experience, every message that comes our way. Are we opening? Are we opening? Are we opening? Is compassion leading us to the change that is necessary for the evolution of mankind, humankind, this earth, the waters, the universe? We recognize as we expand into that all-knowingness, we have each other, hand in hand, heart to heart, and we can do this. We are building a society that works for all. Thank you, God, for the attention of those that joined here today that are listening online. As we take it to heart, it's all about love. I release this in gratitude, knowing that we walk our walk, and so it is. Thank you. Judy, thank you. Dalton, take us where we need to be.
This is a song I learned quite some time ago. If you're familiar with it, I would invite you to hum along or sing along. And if you're not, I think you'll pick it up after a couple of times. Why have we taken birth? Why have we come to love, serve and remember? To love, serve and remember. Why have we come to earth? Do you remember? Why have we taken birth? Why have we come to love, serve and remember? To love, serve and remember. Why have we come to earth? Do you remember? Why have we taken birth? Why have we come to love, serve and remember? To love, serve and remember. Oh, to love, serve and remember. To love, serve and remember.
It's time for the offertory. If the ushers would come forward, please. And as we prepare to give our offering, our hearts are filled with love and appreciation, since what is offered here is for our spiritual well-being. We are filled with gratitude, knowing life stays in balance, knowing as we give, we receive.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Come on forward, ushers. So blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
I give thanks for the blessed donations received here this morning and for those that come in during the week. I know each dollar supports this spiritual family in many ways as we grow together, pray together, and give thanks for all that this center has been blessed with today and always. And so it is. Thank you, ushers. I'm so grateful you were all here this morning, and we'll be closing with some music. And if you were in my class on Tuesday, I have a reading to give you, and don't leave without it. So thank you, Charlotte. That'd be great. Closing song? And the practitioners will be here by the bell if you would like a prayer.
All right, everybody. If you're comfortable, why don't you stand on up? Stretch out, establish some space around yourself. If you're not familiar with this song, you will swiftly pick it up. Cause there was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. Well, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Well, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Sing it loud now. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. Well, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Bring it on home now. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. One more time. Said I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God.
Awesome. Thank you, Dalton. Really appreciate the choice of music. So don't forget Mary's Essence meeting, for those that are curious about that. And what are the 3 words that you are going to focus on this week? I know, I had to look it up too. I got that far. Simplicity. Isn't that funny? It's the easiest one. Just be simple. Also, there's still, if you are so curious, to join us on Wednesday night with Reverend Helen from the Zen Priory. She's going through the meditation very slowly with us all. It's the loving kindness, and it's just an hour spent in good company. So she's doing 2 more classes on Wednesday, starting at 6:30. So have a fabulous day. Enjoy the snacks. Enjoy the air-conditioned home. Thank you.